I have to say, I had no idea this guy was as cool as he was in real life. No idea. Haesten was kind of a boss in the Viking world. I am certainly impressed. A video request. Holy Adam Cat, you are the man. It's simple. If you ask, it'll happen. That's our policy here at History and Beyond. We do it for you. Alright, now it's time for our ungrateful announcer. Run it.
You're watching History and Beyond. Remember to like and subscribe. If you don't, they'll keep me up in this cabin for 4 more years. It's cold up here.
As usual with this time period, not much is known about the early life of Haesten. History begins upon him becoming a Danish Viking chieftain sometime prior to 859 AD. For my Viking fans out there, remember this guy? Yeah, that's Bjorn Ironside, son of the legendary Ragnar Lothbrok. He also happens to be Haesten's brother. Haesten accompanied him in a massive fleet of 60 ships in a raid on northern France and eventually continued onto the Mediterranean in 860 AD. To start their Mediterranean conquest, the pair besieged and sacked the town of Algeciras. They continued on, raiding on the coast of France and northern Italy until they reached Pisa. They captured the city and marched inland as far as Luni, which they believed to be Rome. In the last kingdom, Haesten is a bit of a schemer, and he's pretty good at it if you ask me. In history, this is actually true as well. To capture Luni, Bjorn and Haesten came up with a brilliant plan. A letter was sent to the bishop of the city stating that Haesten had died but converted to Christianity upon his death. It stated that he wished to be buried on consecrated ground. The bishop accepted this, foolishly allowing a coffin in behind the walls. As Haesten was in that coffin, he definitely was not dead. He was able to jump out, kill the guards, and open the gates where his men were eagerly waiting. While everything went to plan and the city was sacked, Bjorn was disappointed to find out that they weren't, in fact, at Rome. From there, it was on to Sicily and then onto the North African coast for some good old-fashioned raiding. Nothing like a change of scenery for the plunder-hungry Vikings. When it was time to leave, the tides took a turn. No pun intended. Haesten and Bjorn were defeated by a Muslim fleet and barely made it to France. As the romantic Mediterranean vacation came to a close, Bjorn sailed home to Denmark and Haesten pursued his Viking career in France. In France, Haesten became friends with the King of Brittany and fought against the Franks. In 866, he saw his first victory at the Battle of Brisach. The next year, King Charles the Bald made peace with Solomon of Brittany. Haesten took it upon himself to raid multiple French cities and even took over the city of Angers. Haesten's fun stopped though when Charles the Bald laid siege to the city. The Vikings were not exactly skilled tacticians and a peace treaty was quickly signed. In late 873, Haesten settled down in the area of Lior, France. After about 17 years and many different French rulers, Haesten finally picked up and left France in search of better pickings. In 892, Haesten led a large Viking force to England. A fleet of around 250 ships landed in Appledore, Kent, and another 80 ships led by Haesten landed in northern Kent, near Milton. Here's where you meet some other characters from the Last Kingdom. Now I know you're excited. When King Alfred, yes, King Alfred, heard of the Viking landing, he sent his troops to Kent with the orders to create a barrier. The idea behind this was to keep the two groups from uniting. This led to a number of skirmishes between the Saxons and the Vikings. Next, the negotiation phase. In the show, Haesten is a bit of a politician, and it looks like this was the case in history too. A settlement between the two leaders was reached. Haesten would receive riches from the Saxons in return for hostages as well as an oath to peace. Haesten also agreed to have his sons baptized. King Alfred was godfather to one son, while Ethelred of Mercia was godfather to another. Here's where things got a little tricky. A Viking at heart, Haesten couldn't just sit there and be peaceful. A Viking without raiding is like a singer without a voice. It's just not healthy. So he continued raiding. This definitely pissed the Saxons off, and Ethelred took Haesten's wife and 2 sons prisoner. They were eventually released though, and Haesten went on his way. Haesten continued raiding in England and fought many times against Alfred and Ethelred. After the construction of many forts, multiple skirmishes, and a whole lot of raiding, Haesten and his men returned back to East Anglia, and then eventually back to France. And that's it. After that, Haesten just pretty much disappeared from the history books. I guess everybody got tired of him. Say, you know what you won't get tired of? History and Beyond. Do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Alright guys, it's been real. Thanks for coming out. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching History and Beyond. Make sure to like and subscribe. And make sure to tune in next week so you can learn more and more and more and more and more and more until you're so smart that you can take over the world.